Hello, good evening, and welcome to January 7th. I think it's been about a week since I did an update. Look at this nice dramatic lighting, just like in the movie. So what's happened in the past week or so? I think I mentioned that we found this gentleman who hopefully is going to compose and perform the music. And last Sunday, I sent him a link so he could watch the next cut. I guess they're all rough cuts. I don't know the exact terminology. Obviously, the first cut is the rough cut. And then I guess you've got a second draft, third draft, fourth draft. So based on that, I would say this would be the second draft. Although, compared to when Reese and Brett first saw it, and then we spent those 3 Sunday afternoons going over it, and I would say I probably made, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 little changes, little tweaks. I think I found a couple new shots. Ari, who plays Bubsy, you may or may not have seen them in the little clips or the little stills I've shown. He sent me some new audio, and so when I cut that in, I had to cut a scene differently because he said different words, which he did on purpose. So I cut that. Still waiting for Sky. She's having some technical difficulties with her audio. She's got the most by far. She's doing a lot of lines. A few of them are actual that were in the movie that we're trying to record over. They're not a super big deal, but if we could get better quality, great. The other ones are new lines for voiceover, well, sort of voiceover and or off screen and or like on the opposite end of a Zoom call or something. So she's having some technical difficulties, and hopefully we'll get those ironed out. I don't know when. Literally don't know when. So next Monday, if all goes well, for some reason this mic is being very loud tonight. If all goes well, the guy's going to come over and we're going to sort of watch and stop and talk about the movie, and hopefully he'll maybe play a few things, or I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm pretty excited about that. I sent Brett some stills from the movie of himself, of Reese, and of Sky, and he's working on some poster concepts. He sent me 3 of them. I will not reveal them at this point, obviously. So I just gave him some feedback. I think there's one that I would say is not bad. I just like it the least. Then the other 2 are pretty close. So I don't know. I don't know how much he really likes them and how much he's just getting kind of the first look out there. So that's exciting. Mostly I've been doing color correcting and color grading, I guess, which are 2 different things. Technically, color correction is literally usually getting skin tones and the white balance right. And so the way Davinci Resolve works, which I may have explained, well, no, I haven't posted that video yet. You basically, or you can do it all in like one node or one gulp, but the best way is, at the very least, is to have like a balance where you change the white balance, you get the colors right, you get the levels right, and then you have a contrast node, and then from there, depending what you need in the shot, if you need, heavier shadows, deeper shadows, if you need like a light looking like it's coming from someplace, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, which is pretty amazing. But then there's also like a LUT, which if you don't know what a LUT is, I couldn't explain it well enough to tell you, but there's basically a look that you can give to, a unified look you can give to the film. And so there's a million ways to do that, and I've learned about 3 of them, so still got a little work to do. But there's basically a film look LUT that comes with Resolve, and you can stick it on, and it gives you a very good base to build from. So I've been literally going through every shot and putting those 3 nodes on every shot, and then I won't go into all the details, but there's some cool stuff you can do, copying and pasting and applying different ones. So I just got up to the big montage, which is like a certain amount of minutes. It could be 4, it could be 7, it could be 9. It could be none of those, kind of in the middle of the film where a lot of stuff happens. And I don't know that I probably won't really grade that too much until we really lock that down. So I might do a little bit more farther on in the movie tonight. It's sort of, I mean, in a way it's tedious work, but in a way it's, I don't know that it's fun, but it's very educational, and interesting and cool. And this is by no means, A, it's by no means the final look of it, and B, by no means am I an expert. But the neat thing is when you are working with like a vector scope or a RGB parade, you look at the charts and the levels and the waveforms and all that stuff, and you grade by sight to some extent, but hopefully you're ideally grading based on the scopes and stuff like that. So it's, it's all math when it's said and done. So I'm sure I'll be doing that for another several days. One thing I should mention, even though this is kind of techie, in Davinci Resolve, I was trying to export the movie, I think first on Saturday, and I was it was just not doing anything. It wasn't really hanging up. It just wasn't doing anything. So I checked mostly with, I think, Google Gemini. I think I may have asked Grok, and I think I looked at a couple forums, but anyways, it had to do with some masking that I'm doing and some other stuff. And this just so much more complicated than Adobe, which is frustrating on one point. But I think once you understand why it's not working and how to fix it and all the different alternatives and options it gives you, it's pretty cool. But it's so much more complicated. It's just, and overall it exports or renders, whatever you want to say, I would say for the most part slower. It really depends what you're doing. So that, I don't know, I spent 2 or 3 hours, which was more or less wasted time on Saturday evening. And then Sunday, it was one of those things where you get up and suddenly, oh my gosh, I'm either doing it right or it's suddenly magically working. But having said that, after reading some more stuff, which I won't go into, I ended up cutting it into like 5 pieces, like roughly 10 to 15 to 20 minutes each, just in case it clunked out. I didn't want to waste the whole thing. So I did it in 5 pieces, and then I exported those 5 pieces, and I put those on a timeline and then rendered that entire 90-ish minutes. And that's what I use. So, quality, I wasn't that concerned about. And I did it at 1/3 of the resolution, so it wouldn't be a huge file and it wouldn't take forever to upload. So that took quite a while, but I was watching football, so I wasn't completely wasting my time. So that, I think, is what I've been up to. I've been watching a few videos on distribution and stuff like that. And I don't know at what point you really, you contact a producer's rep or a sales agent or whatever. I sort of have to get back into that groove. But I feel like, I guess I could be doing research into that and getting some names to call and stuff. But until you have the movie complete, because that's the first thing I imagine someone's going to ask is, well, what stage of production are you in? And I hope that by saying, well, it's finished, I want to show it to you, you're either going to get a yes or a no, as opposed to, well, when you're done shooting or when you've got this or whatever. That's kind of my strategy. And at this point, am I holding out hope that we're going to get real distribution? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. How's that for an answer? All right, that is the update. I'll probably, I don't know when this music guy comes over, I would love to record it. Maybe I'll just do the audio. I'm getting sort of goosebumps or chills just thinking about, assuming he watches the movie and he's on board with it, which he may not be, but if he is, I'm just really going to be super excited for him to sit down and kind of go, here's what I'm thinking. It's such a cool thing that happened with especially the previous two movies. The first movie somewhat, but the next two, when the guy would, play back for me what he had in mind, it was just, oh man, it's so cool. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I don't want to like set up a camera and like freak the guy out. And I'm not going to have like my webcam going because that'd be kind of creepy. So maybe if I think about it, I'll at least record some audio and maybe get some first listens, not first looks, but first listens. All right, there we go. We're over 10 minutes, and I know you could easily listen to another 10, but that's all I'll subject you to tonight, as I found where I have to press the stop button when I'm ready to stop. I hope your movie, or at least your script, is going well. Stay tuned, and I will let you know what happens next.